for me.
Final countdown. This is where it gets fun. This is where I come alive. Happy to be.
A lot to say. We're just ready to show up, and Jake's in good shape. His mind is very locked in and focused for this. So, we're all looking forward to this. So.
Jake Paul is deep into a high-intensity heavyweight camp in Miami as he prepares for his December 19 showdown with Anthony Joshua. He has brought in high-level sparring partners to mirror Joshua's size and power, while working closely with elite coaches to sharpen every detail. His program also includes specialized recovery experts and advanced training technology designed to enhance strength, speed, and tactical accuracy. Each session is focused on tightening technique, building stamina, and locking in the right mindset as Paul gears up for the most demanding test of his career with full concentration and commitment.
Time to shock the world, baby. Time to shock the world again. This motherfucking sauce.
Jake Paul's preparation for his fight against Anthony Joshua shows a level of commitment that most people never fully see. His coach explains that much of the sacrifice and effort happens away from the spotlight. Endless gym hours, punishing conditioning sessions, and careful technical refinement make up the routine fans rarely witness. According to his team, the public often underestimates what it takes to compete at the highest level, especially when facing someone of Joshua's caliber. Jake's dedication is absolute. Physical fatigue and mental pressure are part of his daily life, yet he continues to push forward, showing a seriousness that goes far beyond spectacle.
It's sacrifice in the camp, and Jake sacrificed a lot to get ready for the last fight on top of releasing the new brand W, and so he needed a break. And so we took a month off, got right back in there, and now we're getting ready for Mike. And we're not as heavy as we were before, which is a plus for us. I didn't want us to go back up, but you can guarantee he's going to be ready to fight night. I think in the last 6 weeks, you've seen Jake slowly tighten himself up and get himself prepared, and he's really locked in now. So what we've been able to see is Jake evolve into the gladiator. He's slowly evolving into the gladiator that he has become for fight night. About time he finishes the camp and goes through everything he needs to go through, by that night, he'll be fully prepared. His outer shell that he needs to be able to go in there and be the gladiator for the night, he'll have that ready, and that's what you see happening now. That's the process in which we're in.
Every part of his camp is focused on a single objective: defeating a proven former champion. Analysts point out that Jake's mental preparation carries just as much weight as his physical training. He studies scenarios, prepares for adversity, and designs his sessions to build confidence while correcting weaknesses. This psychological work is meant to keep him calm under pressure and allow him to execute his game plan without hesitation when it matters most. His mental readiness reflects a level of growth developed over multiple fights, reinforcing the idea that he's no longer just a social media figure stepping into boxing, but a competitor who takes the craft seriously.
Built for this. Enjoy the process, enjoy the moment. When it's over, I'm gonna be missing these moments.
145.
Sparring partners are a central part of Jake Paul's preparation. People inside his camp say he regularly tests himself against seasoned boxers, sometimes outperforming them and making a clear statement about his skill level and drive. With Anthony Joshua in mind, this camp marks the first time Paul has consistently trained against partners who truly replicate the size and power he'll face on fight night. Those working with him say this is exactly the challenge Jake wants, someone who can push him to his limits and force constant adaptation. Through these sparring sessions, he sharpens his reactions under pressure, tightens his defense, and experiments with offensive combinations that could be critical against a heavyweight of Joshua's stature.
Training with Jake Paul, when that was, how much sparring you did with him.
So training with Jake Paul, I got to understand how he was as a fighter. He was new into the boxing. He was developing at a very quick rate. This guy trained his ass off. Like, we was spar twice a week in the hot ass gym in Puerto Rico. I don't wish that on my worst enemy. Dude, when I tell you Jake was beating up all these professional boxers who was sparring them, it was just one of those, like, bro, he was whooping their ass and sending them home. That same night, he told everybody bluntly, I'm sending you, and home. Only person saying he's this guy, Anthony. And he was like, the reason why, because this motherfucker's coming here and giving me work that I need. None of y'all is giving me the work.
Tony Jeff, a highly respected boxing trainer, has pointed to the exceptional intensity of Jake Paul's current training camp. He stresses that this is far from a routine setup, comparing it instead to preparations normally seen at the Olympic level. Paul is using advanced training technology, specialized conditioning methods, and tailored coaching that targets every element of performance. The program is built to enhance not just strength, but also speed, stamina, and technical execution, creating a well-rounded approach to elite boxing preparation. Jeff explains that this structure allows Paul to adjust quickly to new situations and maintain a competitive edge early in the fight. Unlike traditional camps that may emphasize only one area, this all-encompassing system prepares Paul for the complex demands he'll face against Joshua. The level of intensity and detail within the camp highlights just how serious Paul is about succeeding at the highest level.
Great strength training for explosive power, slamming that ball against the wall and rotating, just like you'd be throwing a hook. You see there, he's caught it, he pulled it back, turning into it, boom. We also see he's getting in the ice bath here. Now, ice baths is not just good for recovery, helping with the inflammation in your body after what you've been putting it through, but it's also good for the mental side of things, because when you go in an ice bath, everything in your mind is saying, get out of here, what are you doing? So you've got to get past that part of your mind that's telling you that and, push through it. So it's great for your mindset as well. Now, one more thing I just want to add with Jake Paul's training before I give you a recap on it. We always see him training. Look, he's got like a group of people around him. There's cameramen there, there's coaches there, all spurring him on. Now, boxing is normally a very lonely sport. When you're in the gym, it's normally you and your coach. Unless you're dealing with a group of people, it's harder for you to get the one-on-one attention that you need. So when you're fighting as a pro, when I was fighting as a pro, it was often just me and my coach. Sometimes there will be another guy in there as well. Sometimes my dad would come, which really helped push me through the session. But when my friends did ever come, maybe one session here and there, that spurred me on even more to get the most out of us. As we see here, he's got people around him all the time. Cameramen, coaches, friends, strength and conditioning coaches, his boxing coach, and he's just his full team around him who's getting paid. What that does is help the fighter, in this case Jake, get more out of the sessions rather than being there by himself, which I think is great. When I was training for the Olympics, we had that sort of support around us and it was amazing. But when I turned pro, that went out the window because you've got to pay for that support. So now my final thoughts on Jake Paul's boxing training. There isn't anything I can pull apart here. Everything he's doing.
Veteran boxing analyst Dan Raphael has pointed to clear progress in Jake Paul's development since his bout with Tommy Fury. He notes noticeable improvements in technique, conditioning, and tactical awareness, adding that Paul now shows a deeper understanding of how fights unfold in real time. That said, Raphael cautions that none of those gains diminish the sheer magnitude of the challenge Anthony Joshua presents. Paul's evolution proves he can learn and adapt, but this fight will test whether he can apply those lessons under extreme pressure. Raphael's view strikes a balance between optimism and realism. While Paul has undeniably grown as a fighter, stepping in with a former unified champion demands new perfect execution and high-level strategic discipline. His assessment acknowledges Paul's progress while reinforcing the idea that development in boxing is ongoing, especially when preparing for a bout of this historical scale. Meanwhile, the Wade Concept host offers a more cautionary take on Paul's mindset, warning against the dangers of overconfidence. While belief is essential in combat sports, there's a fine line where confidence can slip into denial. Analysts suggest Paul may be approaching that edge, placing too much trust in self-belief without fully accounting for Joshua's experience and power. The host emphasizes that entering the ring with unrealistic expectations can be risky, stressing the need for grounded preparation alongside mental toughness.
Well, but he's actively like, yes, I am going to knock out AJ. And in any other timeline, we'd all point and laugh. And some people still are pointing and laughing, but I'm just sitting here going, what has he seen that makes him believe that? Not only of what's happened to AJ, sure, he's been knocked out by Daniel Dubois, another 240-pound champion of the world. But what has he seen in himself that makes him think he's going to knock out AJ when he hasn't knocked out anyone since Mike Perry? And Mike Perry, as we know, is not a high-level boxer. He hasn't knocked out a high-level boxer. He could hurt Julio Cesar Chavez, but Chavez knew to cover up and not engage. Maybe he thinks AJ will engage with him, and AJ does do some bad things in the pocket. Again, we'll save it for another video, but the only thing I can think of, and I said it at the beginning of this video, is Jake is absolutely delusional, and he's convinced himself of what's going to happen based on very outlying data, right? The Daniel Dubois knockout, how he struggled with Usyk.
Hey, who are you fighting, when, and why? I'm fighting Anthony Joshua because I'm fucking him. What?
I'm fighting Anthony Joshua because I'm him.
Holy shit, just let me take a second.
Is this motherfucker out of Dude, it's light work. Light work. Well, at least my good old friend Tyson Fury believes that I can win.
If Jake Paul fights Anthony Joshua, I'm putting £1 million on Jake Paul. I want some free money.
Smart man, Tyson.
I need to see a bet slip, Tyson. I know you got it like that these days. $1 million's like a, you know, like a slight 10,000 to the rest of us, but or maybe 1,000 after those couple of title fights with Alexander Usyk. But I need to see the bet slip. I saw the line when, and this is kind of crazy, I saw the line when the fight first got made, and we put it in the video. Jake was plus 800 to win. Jake has now moved to plus 650 to win. That's outright. I don't know by knockout, I'm not sure, but plus 800 was already like, okay, that's, you know, that's a big underdog. And Joshua was like minus 1,500, but now Joshua's at minus 1,250 and Jake's at plus 650. This line is closing, and I'm wondering why. What are people seeing?
Make no mistake, this is the biggest fight of my career. I'm walking into the lion's den. I'm doing something that no one else has ever done before. I, Jake Joseph Paul, will knock out, defeat, and embarrass Anthony Joshua Friday, December 19th, live on Netflix. My voice cracked, I'm still going through puberty. The biggest fight of 2025, USA versus UK. He's got the belts, the size, the history, but I have the balls. Be careful what you wish for. Jake versus Joshua. Judgment Day. He has a 90% knockout ratio, but I have a 100% chance of drinking this Celsius.
Okay, there we go. Ads only. Yeah, I mean, having balls is good when it comes to making a fight like this, when it comes to, you know, putting yourself out there and again, just operating on self-belief, but it isn't going to win Jake this fight. Him being ballsy is not going to win him this fight. Like, him making the decision to take this fight is ballsy. And we can all say it, and we have said it, and I feel like it's starting to become a thing where it's like, that's the only thing we're saying. I feel like everybody is just pointing out that Jake has big balls for doing this, and that's a ballsy move. And that's correct, but we established that already. So now let's talk about the fight itself. What about Jake's ballsiness is going to win him this fight? The fact that he wants to throw, the fact that he'll mix it up, that may be the worst thing that Jake could do, is mix it up with Anthony Joshua, because again, you get into 50-50s with a guy that can crack like he can, 90% finish rate. He'll put you on the canvas. He's done it to so many other heavyweights. And yes, AJ sometimes is the one that gets clipped in exchanges like that, with the left hook especially, but we'll do a
Former world champion Carl Froch highlights just how much is at stake for both fighters. For Anthony Joshua, any mistake could trigger heavy criticism and renewed debate about his legacy. For Jake Paul, his growing reputation hinges on proving he can step up against a genuine professional challenge and earn respect from traditional boxing audiences. Froch described the bout as a defining moment for both men, a crossroad where reputation, ability, and career direction all intersect. He adds that this fight goes beyond physical exchanges. It's a test of consistency, composure, and the capacity to perform under intense pressure. The consequences reach far beyond a single result, shaping how both fighters are viewed long after the final bell.
Fake Paul is not a step in the direction of becoming world champion again. There's many people who could box. You're not going to make that kind of money. So let's just be honest with anybody else. So let's just be straight up honest about it. He's doing it all for the money. It's all about the money. I did say a year ago when he got splattered by Daniel Dubois that he's finished in boxing, he needs to retire. That's just my opinion, that's just my truth. I think he's done in heavyweight boxing at an elite competitive level. So that makes sense. I've been vindicated. He's now fighting Fake Paul in what will be a massive mismatch. If this is correct, and it's 10-ounce gloves in a professional boxing rules, 8 3-minute rounds, it's not going to go 2 rounds, is it? It shouldn't do. It shouldn't last a round. But we're going to have to wait and see, aren't we? It's hard to get your head around. It's hard to know what to say about this. AJ's obviously excited about it, about making some serious punts. And Jake Paul's telling us that he's going to shut all the haters up by jumping in there with AJ. So what is actually going off? We're not going to know, are we, until the fight actually, till the first bell goes. We're not going to know what's actually behind all this. And we can't start throwing accusations of any sort of skullduggery going off, because we've got to take it at face value. It's not an exhibition, so nothing's pre-scripted. This is a professional boxing match that you can make bets on. So it's got to be a real fight. And if AJ goes in there with them little 10-ounce gloves on and throws the Ngannou 1-2 down the middle, I'm talking about the one that rendered Ngannou unconscious and almost snapped his leg. And Ngannou's a decent fighter in the cage. You know, he's a good MMA fighter, and you saw him, he took Tyson Fury, what did it take him, 8, 9, was it 10 rounds? Can't remember how long it was, but it took him the distance and lost a close decision. So he's quite capable, but AJ's a big punching heavyweight.
Boxing analyst Joey Knight points out the commercial strategy behind Jake Paul's choice of opponent. Knight explains that Paul understands the enormous attention and financial impact high-profile fights can generate. By taking on a renowned former champion like Anthony Joshua, Paul guarantees global media coverage, audience engagement, and revenue opportunities far beyond what many fighters at his stage can access. This strategic dimension complements his physical and mental preparation, reflecting a well-rounded approach that blends sport with business savvy. Knight emphasizes that modern boxing extends beyond in-ring performance. Decisions about timing, opponents, and publicity are crucial in shaping a fighter's career, often with financial considerations weighing alongside competitive ones.
Of cash, maybe not as much as the Anthony Joshua fight, but a lot of cash, and can still have a serious chance of going on to earn even more paydays. Whereas the damage that it could do to his body could be irreversible for that opportunity to earn money in a boxing career going forward. So is this the retirement bag, or do you actually think you can win? Because I read a study recently, and I believe it said something along the lines of men overemphasize or overcalculate their ability to fight by about 500 times. And I'm saying Jake Paul would probably need to be 500 times better to stand a chance against Anthony Joshua. And I can't get how he doesn't already know this. Surely he has sparred with heavyweights. Surely the recent sparring that he had with the likes of Shakur Stevenson and with the likes of Ray Ford, amongst others, Badu Jack, surely that would have taught you that there are levels to boxing. And if these small guys are able to show you things that you had no idea that you were vulnerable to in a boxing ring, what happens when someone who hits 4, 5, 6 times as hard as that does the exact same thing to you and lands it on your chin? The whole reason of why I know where I am in the influencer boxing scene, in the misfit scene, is because of the level that I have sparred at. I've sparred boys that have gone on to box for world titles. I've sparred with English champions, and I've sparred with...
Legendary ring announcer Michael Buffer highlights the cultural impact of the Paul brothers on modern boxing. He notes that Jake and Logan Paul have successfully drawn a younger audience into the sport, generating buzz and cultivating a new fan base. Buffer commends their skill in crafting engaging storylines, building anticipation, and attracting wide viewership. By combining athletic performance with a strong media presence, the Paul brothers have boosted boxing's visibility, showing how strategic branding can complement in-ring talent.
Jake and Logan, first of all, are fantastic athletes. You know what Logan does with the WWE and what Jake does with boxing, he knocks people out and everything. And they both have massive fan bases, and for me, it's great to see people get young people that follow them that didn't have they don't remember Ali or Joe Frazier or whatever. It's not in their wheelhouse. So it's great to see them developing fight fans and a big fight.
That's it for today's video. Stay tuned. Until next.